This is a broken BMW E39 that I just won at auction for a minuscule £250.
Which, ordinarily, I'd be very pleased about, but not today, because this broken car and I are stranded in Scotland, 400 miles from home, and I had a quote to have this car shipped to me, almost £1,200. Yeah, no. So, in this video, I'm going to attempt to fix this car in my hotel car park. Drive it 400 miles home, then work like crazy to make this car a really nice daily driver. And I'm going to attempt to do all of this for less than the £1,200 I was quoted for transport. But to make matters that bit harder, I've never worked on a car away from home like this. I've never even worked on a BMW before, and I am not a trained mechanic.
I've just discovered that Copart won't actually release a car out of their yard to drive it out. It needs to be transported out. Just found this out, so I've got a local guy to go and pick it up on his truck and then deliver it here to the hotel. So this is £100, isn't it? Yeah.
He then rolled the car off of his truck and left me standing cold and alone in a car park, questioning my life choices.
Oh no. Oh no, what have I done?
I'll tell you exactly what I've done. I've bought a year 2000 BMW E39 528i Touring, the one with the proper boot. It's painted in glacier green, has a 5-speed Manuel gearbox, and it has the legendary M52 TU straight 6 petrol engine, and has about 134,000 miles. But it's seen better days. That proper boot just about hanging on in there. That glacier green paint faded and giving way to sporadic patches of rust. That legendary engine, I don't know, because it won't start.
Absolutely nothing. Okay, so is that a dead battery or just a flat battery? I've just been looking, there is a Halfords about 15-minute walk from here. I think I'm gonna have to hop, skip and a jump over to Halfords, buy some supplies, a battery or a jump starter. I'm not sure which one is actually best. Yeah, I just need some supplies and then get back here because I just need to get this car started. That's just the first thing I need to do here. And before I go, I should probably just at least remove this Copart sticker so the car doesn't actually look like it's just been abandoned and is ready to be stolen. This stuff never comes off. No, that is what it is. Right, I've got to get going. It's so late, it's nearly noon already. It gets dark at about 4:30, so I haven't planned anything. Okay, just back from Halfords. I did a bit of running. I bought one of these Noco jump starters. This was cheaper than buying a battery, so I hope that I can just jump start this and then charge the battery. Hopefully the battery's not dead. What's really annoying as well is I already have one of these at home, so now I have a second. Fantastic. Please, please, please start. Oh, that's the alarm. Great. Well, how do I stop the alarm going off? Oh no, don't do this. Oh, don't. Right, hang on. Why won't you turn off? Is that it? Oh, what a faff. Oh, the key's not working. Cool. Oh, give me strength. Come on.
Eventually the alarm tired itself out and I was able to get back to seeing if the car would actually start. And guess what? Repeated attempts with my nice new jump pack did absolutely nothing. So it was back off to Halfords, but luckily this time I found the back way, which did shave about 5 minutes off, even if it did mean going up that horrible muddy hill. Walking back down that slippy, muddy bank with the car battery was fun, but once I was back at the car, I removed the genuine BMW battery, fitted my new one, which also happened to make the alarm system play happy, and then hopped in the driver's seat, turned the key, and...
Okay, there we go. So it runs, it does actually run, but I have got the battery light on. So first thing I'm going to do quickly is just to see if the alternator is actually charging. Okay, so I've just hooked my multimeter up. It's on the battery, and you can see with the engine running, we're getting 12 volts. This should be kind of closer to 14. That basically means that the alternator on this car is not working, which is a problem, quite a large problem. If the battery doesn't charge, I can't go very far at all. And the revs on this thing as well, they're rising and falling, rising and falling. It's running very rough. Okay, so sit rep. The alternator isn't charging. I'm just gonna guess that the alternator is dead. I tried wiggling the connections at the alternator, checking the voltage at the front, at the back of the car, at the battery. It's all the same. This car isn't charging. Now that's not actually the end of the world. You can drive a car, believe it or not, quite far without the alternator working. As long as you don't have headlights on, you know, the fan and the stereo and things like that, you can actually get quite far. So I'm not going to worry about that issue first right now. I think what I would like to do, I scanned the car as well. I forgot to say, I scanned the car and we've got no fault codes, which is unbelievable. So now I know that the car starts, what I'm actually going to do is just to see if it actually drives a little bit. Hey, we're off. Goodbye. Woohoo! The car drives, ladies and gents. We have brakes as well. All right, that's good news actually. It's really smooth. Yeah, okay. Okay, right.
But as I walked back to collect the camera, I did notice something slightly troubling.
Now, I've got the car idling and it is smoking a bit, but it's quite hard to distinguish exactly what type of smoke that is because it's so faint. Look at this thing. I really need to do something with that. You can see where it's just been stuck on a million times and with all sorts of different types of glues and yeah, but whatever. That is what it is. But this smoke situation, let me try revving the engine. What are we saying? What are we saying? I mean, it's definitely smoke. What does it smell like? Now I do want to make it clear that I did know this car was smoking before I bought it. It said it in the Copart listing, but what it didn't say was what kind of smoke. And that really matters because there are basically 4 types of smoke that an engine can put out to indicate that something is wrong. That is white smoke, grey smoke, black smoke, and blue smoke. None of them are good, all of them are bad. And it can basically be boiled down to this. White smoke is steam, so the engine is somehow burning water that it shouldn't be. Blue smoke tends to be oil, the engine is burning oil that it shouldn't be. Then we have black smoke, and that usually means that there is too much fuel being burnt in the engine. And then finally, a more grey white smoke, and that usually means that the PCV system or the CCV system, depending on what you want to call it, is burning oil. That whole system might be faulty. Okay, so there is a quick test we can do to see if this smoke is due to a head gasket that's blown. Now you can see in there's some fluid in that little tube there, and this is all connected into the coolant reservoir. Now if the head gasket on this engine has gone bad, or maybe the cylinder head might even be cracked. Basically, if there are exhaust gases in the coolant, then we should be able to tell using this device, because any gases are going to go into this reservoir, up into this little device, and it's going to change the colour of this fluid. I've just got to start the engine and leave it running for a few minutes and then see what this says. Okay, the colour of this fluid has remained the same blue that I poured into it. The thermostat is open. It's been running for about 5 minutes now. It's supposed to change yellow to indicate that the head gasket or the cylinder head might be bad, but we've got a little bit of milkshake in the oil filler.
Another quick and dirty test that we can do to see if we've got a bad head gasket is to quickly pop the oil cap off. And you can see on the underside here, we have something that looks a little bit like milkshake. Now, I do believe that if a head gasket had gone, this would be more milkshakey. So even this test isn't conclusive, but we will come back to this.
So that, in my head, should have turned yellow to indicate that there's gas, exhaust gas mixing with the coolant.
But I didn't want to hinge all of my diagnosis on a cheap eBay tester kit. So I decided to pull the spark plugs out and take a closer look. And what I found was
very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed, I think. I do believe, and only because I've really just Googled it, I do believe that if coolant was getting into the combustion chamber and burning off, one or more of the ends of these spark plugs would be really, really clean. It's basically kind of like jet washing the spark plug if you think about it, but you can see they're all incredibly sooty. And they've got lots of carbon and that built on the end of it. None of them look as though they're being jet washed by any coolant whatsoever. So I'm very much starting to wonder if this car's burning oil. I keep running to the back of the car to try and catch what colour the smoke is. Not honestly, and I'm trying to look at it on my screen, and the colour's not coming out right. It's really difficult, and it's a tiny little screen on this camera. So yeah, this is an interesting result. And I suppose, while I've got this spark plugs out now, I have brought it with me. We should probably do a compression test. I'm not sure what values we're supposed to be aiming for, but I'm just going to give this a quick compression test. Now, obviously, we're at big risk here of absolutely toasting the battery. So I'm going to do this as quickly as I possibly can so as not to drain too much out of the battery. So this front cylinder, it's looking fairly healthy. I think that's 165 PSI. So I'm just going to quickly do all the others and see what we've got. Okay, so I've tested all of the cylinders, and you can see these are the values. They're very, they're pretty consistent, and nothing looks wildly off there. So I'm going to say that the compression test has come back good. So, the pistons, the valves, the piston rings, they're all decent. So yeah. So with those checks complete, this is where we need to just take a moment to talk about a magical little device on these engines called the CCV valve, which stands for crankcase ventilation valve. But why am I telling you this? Well, because I did a little bit of car park Googling, and I found out that on these engines in particular, that CCV system is known for going bad quite regularly. And guess what a couple of the symptoms are? Milkshake throughout the engine and grey smoke coming out of the exhaust. That looks like the exact problem we've got, right? It certainly does to me. Did I just diagnose something? Woohoo! Okay, so I've been on to one of the local car parts places here, and I've ordered a new alternator and a new CCV valve, and it comes with all the hoses. They're not going to be in until tomorrow morning now, so it looks like I've got another night at the hotel. But first thing in the morning, bright and early, I'm going to go collect those bits and see if I can get them fitted, and hopefully that's enough to get this old girl 450 miles home. I very much hope so. See you in the morning. Okay, bright and early, on my way down to the car parts place. It's 3 miles away. I'm walking there and I'm going to get a cab back. And the reason I'm not driving there is because I don't know how many starts that car has left in it. I don't want to break down on the way here, and I also just don't want to get pulled over for the car smoking. So walk in there, cab back is cheaper than a tow and or a ticket as well. So got a coffee though, so it's quite pleasant out-ish, kinda. Okay, finally, that took me 50 minutes, but I'm here. Okay, got the goods, and now I've got to try and get a cab in rush hour. Yeah, it's broken. Yeah. I just had to buy a battery for this car as well, and that was about 110 quid.
Yeah, but Birmingham, you've got 8 lanes, but you can't go anywhere. You know?
And it's always the M6.
Aye.
The M6 is just the worst. I tried to avoid. I think the way I go, it will be mainly A1. So I'm going to try and avoid the M6. I always try to avoid the M6 if I can help it.
The A1, it's fine, isn't it? Just up here, it's a bit narrow in places, you know, that's where you just got to be careful.
Right, thanks ever so much, pal.
Okay.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Cheers. Oh, okay. I have got a lot to do and not a lot of time to do it. It gets dark ridiculously early all the way up here north of the wall. So here is my new alternator. I very much hope it's the correct one. And here are all of the bits of the CCV system. So this is the main component of it. This is the CCV valve, and then you also get all of these pipes and hoses as well. And so you can see here, that's one of the hoses. It goes right across the top there, down there. That's another one. There are some more. I think this is one here. They all go down under the inlet manifold. You can see, look, this is all just kind of heat damage on the insulation. I don't think, it doesn't look like these have ever been changed before, so it's very likely that they are all clogged up. Now, the thing to do apparently is the easiest way to do this is to actually remove the intake manifold, because this valve sits right down underneath there. I was watching some videos last night on YouTube on how to do both of these jobs. The alternator looks like a breeze, but this valve looks very difficult to get to, especially with the inlet manifold still attached. But I think in my case, I'm going to have to keep this inlet manifold attached, that's this bit here, because there's going to be a load of dirt all down there on the entrance holes into the engine, and I've got no way of cleaning all the dirt out before I pull this off. So there's a high chance that if I pulled this off, a load of dirt is going to fall into the engine, and I can't have that. Most people seem to vacuum up in there, but you know, I didn't bring my vacuum. But I did find someone on YouTube that managed to do this without removing it. It's not the easiest thing, but I'm just gonna have to grin and bear it and get my fat hands in there somehow.
So this Jubilee clip to take off this small pipe disconnected to the idle control valve.
Oh, come on, Piglet. How can you get your hand in there? Like, how? Oh. I'm having fun. Okay, so I finally got in there, got this throttle body kind of off. It's still connected to the cable, so I've just pushed it. I'm just pushing it out of the way there, because the prize really is right there. That's my valve. So I'm hoping a few bolts off there, if I can get to them somehow. There's one up there, one over there. Get those out, see if I can squeeze that out of that gap, and then in with the new one. And I'm going to be honest with you, I am wondering if for now, because of where I am, I just replace just replace this, and I actually leave all of the hoses in place and then come back to these hoses when I get the car home. I don't know. Let's just see if I can get that valve off first, and then I'll make my mind up. Well, I can tell you this, it's definitely easier to do this job if you can get the inlet manifold off, that's for sure. Okay, so here's what we've got. The valve snapped in half as I was taking it out. One of the pipes snapped as I was taking it out, fine. Doesn't really bother me too much. I cut one of them. This plastic is really, really brittle, and I think that's just basically as a result of it's been in the engine bay for 24 years with all the heat. Doesn't look like it's ever been replaced. This is a genuine BMW part as well, so but I'm very much hoping that this is the cause of our problem. Now take a look at this. So you know when I opened up the oil cap and I said, oh, it looks a little bit milkshakey in there. Well, I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't, can you? But if I put my finger in there, look, I don't think you can see that either, can you? There you go. That's what's in there, and that's the exact same stuff that we're getting on the inside of here. Look, you can see how it's all the same colour. So it looks as though this has failed. In there you can see the diaphragm. I can get my finger in there, I can touch it. Does look very clogged up. All of these pipes, look, you can see more of that milkshaky stuff in there. So I'm very much hoping that this is the cause of our smoking, that this valve has indeed failed. So what I'm going to do now is basically just going to install the new valve, and then while I'm here, and I think I can do it all, I'm going to install the new pipes. There's room for it now, and obviously I've snapped two of them, so I don't really have a choice. So I'm just going to get all of that fitted in with very little fanfare, he says. He says. Making quite good friends with this bush. Quite a nice Nissan GTR, that. I didn't floor it. Unusual. Oh, there is no room in it whatsoever. Oh, okay. Right, we're there. So hopefully you can see there is my new valve installed. All of the hoses connected back up to it. So that's a new hose in here. There's a new hose, you can't see it down there. It goes into the dipstick tube. New hose along the top there. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's not the nicest of jobs to do, but that's in, and I do hope it works. It's also just started raining, which is absolutely fantastic. Don't know how long that's going to last for. Right, but there's still more to do. Right, that's out. Wasn't too bad, to be honest with you. Again, original BMW Valeo alternator by the looks of it, so likely been good right up until this point. Hang on, is my new one the correct? Does this look right? Yeah, I think so. Right, only one way to find out. There we go, brand new alternator installed. So all I'm going to do, it was quite easy really, just gonna now bolt this throttle body back up, and then all of the gubbins that was on the side there, and then basically we should be good. I can't see that there's going to be any big issues here. There's only really a few bolts that you can see down there, so I'm just going to there we go, everything is back together. Yeah, I really hope this has fixed my issues. And there's nothing for it now, I suppose, really, but to turn the key and see if this all works. So we're looking for two things, let's not forget. We need this new alternator to be working and to charge the battery, and we need no smoke to be coming out of the exhaust. They're the two big things. Now, I've got a feeling that we're still going to get some smoke out of the exhaust to begin with. There's probably still gunk and goo and all sorts of stuff in the system somewhere, maybe even in the exhaust. I don't know, but I'm very much hoping that that smoke clears up. But yeah, right, let's just, this is always the moment of truth that I hate so much, always makes me nervous, but let's turn the car on, let's put you here, and then we can all see together whether it's worked or not. Okay. Nothing. Oh yeah, I disconnected the battery, of course. Okay, great. Battery light's gone out, that's amazing. What happened here? Did it smoke? Did it smoke? Hang on, have we got any, what does this sound like? Any noises, any bad noises? No? Amazing. That sounds very healthy actually. Have we got any smoke? Yeah, we've got smoke. No. No. Right, please clear up. Please clear up. Oh. Oh, did you see also, look, I taped that back up with this kind of aluminium tape. I think it's going to fall off again in a minute, but oh, right, I'm just going to bring it up to temperature, see what happens. Oh no, actually, let's make sure this alternator is charging. 13.9 volts. Perfect. Oh, that's a relief at least. Okay, it's running a little bit lumpy there actually. Hopefully just clearing its lungs, but that's probably quite hopeful, isn't it? And this car did in fact just clear its lungs. The majority of that smoke cleared up, and that hiccuping you could hear in the engine kind of just cleared up also. This is something that rarely happens. And I'd have sworn at the beginning when I first saw that smoke that this car actually had a bad head gasket. But I guess you learn something new every day. And please don't be deceived. That fast editing, all of that you just saw, made it look like I did all of that work in about 30 minutes. But the truth of the matter is that it actually took quite a few hours. I had a couple of extra trips that I had to make to Halfords to buy a couple of tools that I forgot to bring with me. I'm not including in the budget, by the way, because I'm going to reuse those tools again. And I'm just inexperienced and slow, but it was eventually time to get this car on the road and pointed in the direction of home, because at this point I'd already spent 2 nights away from the family and I didn't fancy any more. So this reckons 6 hours, 31 minutes, which is what, 400 miles. It's well, bang on 4 o'clock. I'll keep you updated as I go, and we'll just see how this pans out. Right, so I've only made it, what, 30 miles, I think, if that. So far so good, kind of. The car is going all over the place. It's not swerving, but it's travelling. It feels very floppy. I think I need to pump the tyres up. I just don't think there's enough air in the tyres. So I am at a service station. I'm just going to chuck some air in the tyres now. And with the car running, I mean, there's no smoke that I can see coming out of there. So I'm going to stick some more air in, stick some air in these tyres, maybe get a little bit of fuel, and then just keep going. Okay, so I've done about another 100 miles, just stopped again. Everything is going a-okay. Don't seem to have any smoke. I'm just checking the oil again, and we haven't used a single drop of oil. So this is this is pretty cool. And then I pumped the tyres up at that last station. Every tyre was down by about 10 to 12 psi, and then since putting the correct pressures in, she's driven much nicer. She does handle a bit like a boat, I'll be honest with you, but a lot of that wandering is gone, and she's just performing lovely. So I don't want to jinx it too much. I've still got a long way to go, but this is good. This is good.
And the old girl just kept on trucking for hundreds of more miles. And I suppose now would be a good time to add up some extra costs. There was my initial train ticket to Scotland, £90. 2 nights in a hotel, £140. £50 worth of fuel in the tank. And 1 taxi journey, £8. Uh-oh. This is adding up. And there is still a load more work to do to this car once it's back in the workshop. I have never claimed to be good with money. Check the channel name.
We made it home. What a lovely car. What a lovely car. I like this car so much that I'm now going to spend the rest of the video making this car as nice as I can make it. As nice as a £250 car can be. But I mean, she's so nice that I developed some feelings for her on the journey and decided to name her Bonnie. Bonnie, the Scottish BMW. That's how you know I really like a car. She drives really nice. I cannot believe this car I can't believe I won it for £250. That's absolutely crazy. But look, here's the thing. Even though I've developed feelings for Bonnie, I can't keep her. I just cannot keep all of these cars. So, like we've done previously on this channel, if you're in the UK, you can be in with the chance of winning her for just 99p a ticket. And I always call these competitions a win-win-win, because one of you guys wins a car for 99p, I win because it gets to fund this incredibly expensive channel. I don't do so many brand deals, and the videos remain free for all of you to watch. And of course, a charity always wins, because I always donate 10% of the takings, not the profit, the takings, to charity, and this time is no different. The charity is Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. So, you know, we're doing a good thing here. And it's not just the car you'll be winning. The winner can also choose any piece of merch from the store, and the number plate that's on this car, according to Reg Transfers, is valued at £600, and that will be going with the car also. And I always have to say as well that these cars, you know, treat them like an ongoing project still. I'm going to make this car really nice now, as nice as I can make it, but you know, it's 24 years old. This is all a good bit of fun, and I really, really appreciate the support. There's a link in the description below this video for where you can enter. Good luck. But we're not out of the woods yet. I still need to put this car through an MOT inspection, which is one of our annual government roadworthiness inspections.
And what this will do is to flag any and all issues that would prevent this car from being road legal, and I will use that list as the basis for where to go with this car. Now, I know going into this already that she's not going to pass, because number one, that airbag light is on, and number two, we have that rear brake light out. Even so, John came and picked the car up, put it in his workshop and started the inspection, and all was left for me to do was to wait for the results.
Now look, as expected, this car did not pass its inspection. First, I should note that the inspection cost £40. It's starting to add up. These problems range in severity. The stop lamp, the brake light and the airbag light being on, I'm hoping very easy fixes. The rear tyres are very low on tread. Again, I'm hoping that's a very easy fix. Now, the two that are worrying me though on this list are the fact that headlamp levelling device cannot be operated from the driver's seat. And finally, the wheel bearing on the driver's side rear is rough when rotated. And you know, I have a strict eat that frog policy, which means you always have to start with the hardest job first. And that was the wheel bearing. That job did not go smoothly. Ugh. How am I gonna get in there? Oh. There's no way these are gonna come out. He says, hey, no way, no. Yep. Is that it? Ha 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 ha. Yes. Breathe through it. Oh. Oh, it's getting tight. Yep. Oh. That's not good. Okay, so the wheel bearing is off, but I've taken casualties basically. So that probably took an hour and a half all in of just hammering, and this is the end of the drive shaft here poking out. I have, because I was directly hitting this directly with a hammer with my thing, you saw me do it, I've mushroomed the end of the drive shaft. You know, I could just grind that down around there just so the nut will go back on, but looking at these threads, it looks like I've damaged those threads basically, where I had the nut on there and I was hitting the nut. And that means that with the nut that I've also destroyed, the nut no longer goes on to the thing on the end. It doesn't go on. And this nut, I mean, the nut's not a problem, you can get a new nut, but obviously I've destroyed the threads in there. So this, you know, this drive shaft really is kind of toast. Could I have been a bit more careful getting this off? Yeah, probably. But how much longer would that have taken me? I don't know. So what I've done is I have ordered a whole new drive shaft. I'm just going to put a new drive shaft on this. It was £72.99. So, you know, I'll take the hit, you know, I take full responsibility for doing this. Now, another casualty I took was, so this bit here, that's one bit. This bit here is the actual bearing. Now, these are supposed to come apart. I have, obviously, where I was trying to smack the thing out, look at it. I've just hit it 100 times where I was just being impatient. Again, I take full responsibility. It's not that wasn't the greatest craftsmanship on my part. I'm not happy putting that back on. It's just, there's no need for me to do that. I've ordered a new one of these. This is about £50. So new bear, I'm not even going to bother taking these apart. New bearing, new hub, new drive shaft. Just be done with it. Let's make this car really nice and not have to suffer from my just mistakes really. But this bearing is rough, listen.
And just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, they did.
No. 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 Oh no. Don't panic, don't panic. Calm down. So there's 6 bolts, that bolt, this output shaft to the rear diff. And, well, this is one of the bolts. You can just see, you know, the end of that, the head of this that's corroded. Look, they're quite bad. And yeah, look, I've got 5 out. I went to get the last one, and look at that, I've just rounded it. Completely rounded it off. That's problematic, to say the least. There's only really one thing that I can do, and it's use my trusty set of bolt removers. And so all I'm going to do is hammer this onto, is this the right size? Yeah. I'm going to hammer that onto the screw and hope that it bites just enough where I can get this out, because honestly, I'm in for a world of absolute pain and hell if I can't get this bolt out.
Spoiler alert, this did not work. I tried every combination of bolt remover every which way, but I could not get them to bite on enough. I was just about to give up and go home for a quick cry when I had an idea involving a tool in my workshop that I've never used. I think using that. And what that is my welder. This is a MIG welder. Now, I've never used this. I haven't the foggiest idea what I'm doing, but I figure it can't be that hard. So my simple yet difficult plan was simply to weld a new nut onto the end of the old rotten one.
Yeah. Wait. I think you need to disconnect the battery first, don't you?
I've no idea if these settings are correct or not. Let's just go with yes.
Right. Okay. So just eye protection. Okay. So, it's a joke. It's a joke. Need to do the old welder flick though, don't we? Ow. Ah. No. I was hoping that was going to end better. Doesn't look like the weld penetrated enough. This whole wheel bearing job's turned into a complete and utter nightmare. I am in deep trouble. Yes! Yes! I've got a Copart auction running at the same time. I'm trying to keep my eye on that. When's my car up? A future project. Look at this. Yeah. I welded another nut on, then got my bolt grips on the thing, on that nut. Look. Oh. Oh, is that my car? My car's up next. Come on, let's get this bolt out before my car comes up. No, it's coming up. So look there, you can see my welds were just a bit better with this on. I managed to hammer the nut on a bit more, and I welded it just enough. You can see, look, I didn't weld it there. That was around the top where you just couldn't get access. I welded it inside, so to make up for that. But it's out. Oh my word.
Now, luckily for me, reassembly of all of this stuff was actually a breeze. You just slot the new axle in using lovely new bolts, £25. A new hub, £55. A new wheel bearing, £65. Bit of anti-seize on the hub because this wheel bearing is an interference fit and you have to press it on like this with a lot of force. But once that's all done, you have a lovely new bearing attached to a lovely new hub, which then slots onto your lovely new axle. New bolts came with this and pulled a silly face trying to get those in, and then borrowed a really expensive torque wrench from my good friends at the very aptly named Torque Monkey. 300 Newton meters. Then you smack the lock nut things in, fit the wheel, and make yourself a cup of coffee before tidying up the horrendous mess that I've made.
Okay, so the next job that I would like to turn my attention to is this gear shift. It's loose, to say the least. You can just see there's a lot of slop in that. So if I put it into third, there's just a lot of movement. So you're driving around, you're not necessarily, is that first, is that third? Who knows? Second or fourth? That was second. there's a lot of movement and play in there. Now, my understanding is that you can pull that off and then you can get in to here, and then you kind of need to pull some of this away, and then there's a bearing, a bushing down under there, which quite often they just wear out, really. It's a plastic bushing. And so I've actually got the replacement part here, genuine BMW, absolutely no expense spared for my lovely Bonnie. So I think I need to pull all of this off, get in there somehow. I don't know if I maybe even have to get to it from underneath the car, and we'll have a look at replacing this thing. So with that rubber boot off, you can see there, this is that plastic bushing, and you can see how much grime and stuff is in there. And you can see, look, that is loose. Where are we? Ah, hello. Ow. Yep. Ah. Hey, let's go back. What? Where's it gonna be? Yeah. And that is everything reinstalled. And now for the moment of truth. Oh, would you look at that? That has got to be one of the most satisfying fixes I have ever done on a car. Look at that compared to how it was. That is absolutely lovely. Oh, yes. Oh, massive fan of that. Well done, me. Love it. Okay, let's move on again. And so we are back in the engine bay. So do you remember earlier on in the video where the car was actually running a little bit rough? Those issues had actually come back, and one of the biggest causes of rough running engines, especially on this car, is actually air leaks. Now firstly, the rubber hoses are prone to go bad. And another way that these cars can have big air leaks is actually the valve cover itself. They can get very brittle and weak, and they actually distort and warp over time. And if you take a look at this, you can see that that's what this one has actually started to do. So there is something that we can do to help us identify exactly where the air leaks are coming from, and that is by doing a smoke test. So you can see there's smoke billowing out of that hose. There is smoke absolutely billowing out, out of the back there. And I can also see there's smoke coming out of, which looks to be this coil. That one there, look. That's quite something. And you know what? It looks like we've also got a small one coming from the CCV valve that I replaced in that hotel car park. So that's quite cool, because that's a nightmare to get to, as we saw. Can I see it? Yeah, I can see it there. Oh, that's annoying. That's intensely annoying.
So there was nothing for it but to undo a load of the work that I did up in Scotland, because I could see the issue. An O-ring was trapped in the pipe, causing it not to seal properly. Once in there, I managed to sort this out, which took 2 seconds, and then I had to reassemble everything once again. I replaced the leaking hose at the back of the engine, which sorted that leak, and then I turned my attention to the leaking valve cover. I purchased a new valve cover, not a genuine BMW one, because they cost over £300, but this aftermarket item that set me back £72.49, including shipping. This is a plug and play replacement that comes with a new gasket built in. And whilst the coils were out, I replaced those foul spark plugs with new items.
I even replaced that little bit of hose down there. It goes from there to there. That bit there is plastic. That's all looking nice now, so I don't have to worry about that failing. It did actually break apart in my hands as I took it off. But yeah, last thing to do, of course, is if I just reconnect this smoke machine. So I have just had it on. There is no smoke, ladies and gentlemen, on this, coming out of this engine.
I then drained the oil, fitted a new sump plug, changed the oil filter, added 6.5 litres of fresh oil, changed the pollen filters, the air filter,
and then I basically just started worrying about how much all of this was costing, because that right there was another £70.26. Right now, I don't know where we're at with this budget, and I'm mildly terrified, if I'm honest. But right now, we need to turn our attention back to the issues that were causing this car not to be road legal.
I fitted a new brake bulb, £3.07, and also connected a scan tool to clear the airbag code and make the dash light go out.
One of the items on this list that is preventing this car from passing its inspection is the following. Headlamp leveling device cannot be operated from the driver's seat. Now, what that means is, you know, car headlights, they have, you know, the switch that makes it go, you can point them up and down. So this right here is the switch on the dashboard that controls that functionality. However, this switch currently does nothing, which led me to investigate further. So these are not the correct headlights. In fact, these aren't even genuine BMW headlights off of a newer facelift car. It's very difficult to see, but there is a little, where is it? It's down there. There's a little logo down there and it says sonar. These are actually just kind of generic eBay special headlights that are very cheap. I don't know, there's just some kind of LED conversion. They're terrible. They don't have the headlight leveling functionality in them. So I'm going to remove both of these headlights. And what I'm going to put in their place are these two genuine pre-facelift headlights. These are the headlights that should actually be on the car. These are your bog standard halogen headlamps, and I bought these from a breaker for £40 for both of them, which is actually quite a bit of a bargain. Now, of course, they are in not the most amazing condition. I think that's just some kind of paint or some marks on there. Okay, so with just that one headlight in, let's take a look. I hope there's bulbs in there. Lovely stuff, look at that. Let's see if I can get the leveling to work. Please work. Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see that. It's going up and down with the switch. Oh, that's amazing. That's so good. Okay, right, I'm gonna get the other one installed now on this side. Oh, yes, and then we're, oh yeah, then we're, oh yeah. Yeah, buddy. Down, up. Come on. Right, I need to clean these up now. Now I know they work. Yep, pleased with that. Now, I've just got to do the other one.
Ah, nice. Then it was time to sort out the tyres with low tread. Although technically only 2 of the tyres needed replacing, I actually splashed out on 4 new ones, mainly because my OCD struggles to deal with just having half of the tyres replaced. Whilst I was at the tyre garage, I had all 4 wheels aligned to make sure that Bonnie will be driving straight and true.
Okay, are you sitting down? Wait, it's me that needs to sit down. I'm the one spending the money. What am I talking about? All right, so I've got it here. 4 tyres with £269. I'll be over budget. Tyre fitting and the 4-wheel alignment was £135. We must be over budget at this point.
Then, on the way home, I drove straight back round to John at Cars for my retest.
Okay, slight problem. Just as the tester got the car into the workshop there, as you just saw, his testing equipment just broke. I'm very much hoping that it wasn't this car that broke his testing equipment, because the bill for that is, well, it's not in the budget. So actually John now needs to get a new part for his equipment, which isn't coming until tomorrow. So he can't carry out the retest of this car until tomorrow. So we're gonna have to find out the results of the retest a little bit later. Right now, however, I am going to turn my attention to this car's cosmetics. Yep, I am going to attempt my own bodywork. But before I can see to any of that, this car needs a very good clean. And if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know my stance and my attitude towards cleaning cars.
But I hyped myself up, took a deep breath and went
to the car wash. There is always room in the budget to have someone else wash your car.
And once back from the car wash, I decided to turn my attention first to this tailgate handle. I was stripping off the aluminium tape when disaster struck.
Oh, the pain. Right, so what I've done there is just screwed up royally screwed up. I can't believe it. I mean, obviously that was going to happen. So I was just peeling the tape off, and because I just used this super sticky aluminium tape, it's done it there as well, look. Oh, and because all this paint is flaky and bad, because it's all rusted here, look, you can see where the rust goes, and it was flaking off anyway. I've pulled the paint off, and it's going to do it there as well. That's an issue. What do I do? What do I do now? Look at it. Oh, it's all awful. No, this is like the worst thing that could have happened. Look at all the previous repairs this has had. I don't know what this is, some kind of glue, some kind of sealant, massive, great chunk of it. And you know what's annoying about this whole thing here as well is that I'd actually bought this. This is a brand new, genuine, whole new assembly thingamajigger with a gasket there and that panel that goes there. That was going to go in there, fix up, look sharp. I mean, that bit needs painting, but I was going to give that a go myself with a rattle can. So, but I can't put this on there, not with all of that rust there, and especially not with all of that paint having now peeled past that point up into the boot. That's such a shame. And look, this bit of metal is kind of no longer. So it looks like that's going to need some welding anyway, and you've all seen my welding skills. And so it's not really just that bit either. There was also this bit of rust up here that kind of needs sorting. I'm still absolutely gutted that I did that. I mean, it's so obvious. It's a proper schoolboy error, and I take full responsibility. But look, here's what I'm going to do. Before this car goes off to its new owner, I am actually going to send it to the body shop to get those bits treated and sorted professionally. I think it's what the next owner deserves, and I also think it's actually what this car deserves. I have neither the time, nor the skills, nor the facilities really to undertake that work right now. And I'm also not including that work in the budget because I know that will send us over, and I make the rules up round here.
But there is still a quick cosmetic win that I can achieve with this car, and that is by removing this tow bar. Now, I'm not actually fully removing all the wiring or anything. I'm including the tow bar in the car. The wiring is staying connected. I'm just tucking it up behind the bumper so that if the next person wants to reinstall it, they can easily. And then just a few more other little really nice cosmetic tweaks before we take this car back for its retest.
Hey, look at this. The car didn't just pass, but she passed with flying colours. No advisories, a completely clean MOT. But, ladies and gents, the big question remains, did I manage to complete this whole project for less than the money I was quoted to have this shipped from Scotland to me here in Essex? My original shipping quote from Copart themselves was £1,158, and the total that I spent, not including the cost of the car, so this is parts and the trip as a whole, you know, hotel, taxis, things like that, train. The total I spent was £1,717.92 on a £250 car. That makes me £559.92 over budget. And look, to be quite frank with you, this is what we're all about around here. We're all about preventing cars, perfectly good cars, going to the scrapyard. And that is probably where this car was headed at £250 out of Copart if it wasn't me that had bought it. Hopefully this car can stay on the road for another 24 years. That would be absolutely amazing. I appreciate everybody's support, and if you enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy this one too.